This question looms large in a story that intertwines camaraderie, struggle, and resilience. When news broke that Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, was hospitalized due to a harrowing military training accident, fans worldwide were shocked and heartbroken. However, few could have predicted the lengths his close friend and bandmate Taehyung would go to support him, even amidst his own challenges in the rigid environment of military camp. The story begins on a chilling winter morning in South Korea, where temperatures had plunged well below freezing. As part of their mandatory military service, Jungkook was undergoing an intense winter training exercise, a rite of passage designed to test the limits of endurance and resilience. The unforgiving conditions pushed every soldier to their brink. But for Jungkook, known for his determination and strength, things took a turn for the worse. Sources reveal that during a particularly grueling snow march, Jungkook collapsed from a combination of hypothermia and exhaustion. The image of one of the world's most beloved stars lying in the snow, vulnerable and unresponsive, sent waves of concern through his unit. He was rushed to a nearby military hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize him. Though his condition was not life-threatening, it required immediate attention and recovery time. The news of Jungkook's hospitalization reached him during a routine training session. His initial reaction, a mix of panic and disbelief, was a testament to the deep bond shared by the two idols. Their friendship, forged through years of shared dreams, struggles, and triumphs, had become the stuff of legend among ARMY's, BTS's fandom. Yet now, that bond was being tested in an unimaginable way. Military rules are strict, especially when it comes to granting leave for personal reasons. Taehyung knew this all too well. Soldiers are expected to put duty above all else, and exceptions are rarely made. But for Taehyung, this was non-negotiable. He had to see Jungkook. Taehyung filed multiple requests to visit Jungkook, citing their unique circumstances and his need to be by his friend's side. Each time, the requests were denied, citing protocol. The frustration was palpable. How could he stay focused on his training while his closest friend was lying in a hospital bed, recovering from an incident that could have been far worse? For days, Taehyung wrestled with the weight of his situation. Should he comply with the rules or risk everything to see Jungkook? The decision wasn't easy. The military isn't just about physical endurance. It's also a mental battlefield where discipline reigns supreme. Still, Taehyung's unwavering loyalty to Jungkook kept him resolute. Moved by his earnest pleas, this officer decided to intervene, pushing the case up the chain of command. But even with support, the process was excruciatingly slow. Each passing day felt like an eternity for Taehyung, who couldn't shake the image of Jungkook in a hospital bed. When the approval finally came, it was bittersweet. Taehyung was granted a brief leave, but it came with conditions. He had to complete an additional physical challenge to demonstrate his commitment to duty. The task? A solo hike through a snow-covered trail. A test similar to the one that had left Jungkook hospitalized. As Taehyung braved the icy winds and treacherous terrain, his thoughts were consumed by memories of Jungkook. He recalled the times they had leaned on each other during difficult moments, from sleepless nights in the studio to grueling world tours. This hike wasn't just a test of his physical limits, it was a symbolic journey, a manifestation of his resolve to stand by his friend no matter the cost. Finally, after hours of relentless effort, Taehyung completed the challenge. Exhausted but triumphant, he was granted permission to visit the hospital. The moment he stepped through the doors, emotions overwhelmed him. Seeing Jungkook, pale but smiling faintly, was both a relief and a heartbreak. The two exchanged few words, none were needed. Their bond, stronger than any hardship, spoke volumes. How many of us would go to such lengths for a friend? Taehyung's journey wasn't just about friendship. It was about loyalty, resilience, and the lengths we go to for those we love. His story reminds us that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit can rise above, guided by unwavering connections. As Jungkook continues his recovery and Taehyung returns to his duties, armies around the world are rallying behind their idols with messages of love and support. The episode has only deepened the admiration fans have for the group, whose bond transcends the stage and extends into the most challenging corners of life. The journey back to his camp was filled with a mixture of relief and exhaustion. Taehyung, despite his fatigue from the challenging snow hike and the emotional weight of seeing Jungkook in such a vulnerable state, carried himself with a quiet determination. His brief reunion with Jungkook had reassured him that his friend was in good hands, but the experience had left a lingering ache in his heart, one that would only be eased when they were both out of the military and back in the familiar comfort of their shared brotherhood. As soon as Taehyung returned to his base, he was thrust back into the grueling routine of drills, physical tests, and endless responsibilities. His superiors, though impressed by his unwavering dedication to his duties, maintained their usual discipline, showing him no special treatment despite his global fame. However, Taehyung's fellow soldiers had begun to look at him differently. They had seen firsthand the struggle he had gone through to be by Jungkook's side, and it left an impact. Quiet nods of respect followed him wherever he went in the camp, and even the toughest instructors couldn't deny the raw emotion behind his perseverance. In an environment where camaraderie is often forged through hardship, Taehyung's actions had spoken louder than any words ever could. Though physically recovering from the harsh effects of the extreme winter training, his mind was restless. He hated feeling weak, hated being sidelined when his unit was out there pushing their limits. The disappointment of not being able to complete the exercise gnawed at him. He wasn't used to setbacks, but this was different. During a quiet moment in his hospital room, Jungkook replayed his final moments in the snow, the bitter cold clawing at him, his vision blurring, and his legs giving out beneath him. It was unlike anything he had ever experienced, and the memory haunted him when Taehyung had walked into his room. Despite his own exhaustion, with that signature soft smile, Jungkook had felt an unspoken comfort. His Hyung had come all that way, fought so hard against the rigid rules of the military just to check on him. It reminded him that even in the darkest of times, he was never truly alone. That question lingered in the air like a shadow. Winter training was one of the most challenging parts of military service, and failing it could affect his future duties. Doctors had assured him that with proper rest and rehabilitation, he would be fine. But Jungkook, ever the perfectionist, wasn't convinced. He often found himself staring at the ceiling late at night, wondering if he had pushed too hard, if he had let everyone down. What if his body couldn't take the same strain anymore? What if this incident marked the beginning of his decline? These thoughts were far heavier than the weights he used to lift effortlessly during their concert tours. It was old-fashioned, but it was the only way they could communicate without interruptions. Military camps didn't allow for frequent phone calls, and with their busy schedules, staying connected was difficult. And his letters, Taehyung didn't focus on Jungkook's injury or his struggles. Instead, he wrote about their shared memories, late-night ramen runs, sneaking into the practice rooms to work on new music, the nervous excitement before their first world tour. He reminded Jungkook of the unshakable fighter he had always been, the kid from Busan who never gave up no matter how tough things got.